Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, and we're going to continue our coverage of the 2019 Pokemon World Championships by having a look at that Mewtwo. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, Mewtwo and Mew, it is a pair of them, it's not just Mewtwo. And it is seeing a lot of representation this weekend. It's been on stream several times, it's been winning when it's on stream, so I thought, right, time to have a gander at it. Now, the thing about Mewtwo and Mew is that it's very difficult to actually pin down what it does. Now that we know what it does, it's got an ability whereby it can use the attacks of any of your GX Pokemon that are in your discard pile or on your bench. Cool. The problem is there's like a million different options for what those Pokemon could actually be. Incidentally, we do not see the GX attack seeing any play. 2 Psychic Energy, 1 Colorless, 200 damage. If you've got an extra energy attached to it, you also heal all damage from all of your Pokemon. There's nothing to say you can't use it. You've just got like 20 other really good options for Tag Team GXs. So you just end up not doing so. Now, this is not intended to be a huge, in-depth, exhaustive list of every possible option. It is supposed to be chatting through some of the things we've seen on stream and some of the partners we've seen Mewtwo and Mew having. Now, just by way of introduction, we do see the Dene GX, but that really is played for the ability whereby you discard your hand and draw 6 cards. It's just good for getting you rolling. Similarly, some decks are playing Jirachi GX, but again, that is just there for the ability. It removes your weakness. Hey-ho. We also do see Marshadow seeing play. Now, Marshadow isn't a GX, and again, it's there for the ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may discard any Stadium card in play, and then discard Marshadow and all cards attached to it. Largely, this is there to get rid of Power Plant, because Power Plant turns off the abilities of EX and GX Pokemon, including Mewtwo and Mew. When they turn off your ability, all you've got is your GX attack, which, as previously discussed, you don't want to be using. Now, the good news is, you're not exactly forced to play Psychic Energy, because you can copy any Pokemon here. So generally, what people are doing is playing it with Fire Energy, so that they can take advantage of Welder, attach 2 Fire Energy from your hand and draw 3 cards, and Giant Half, which lets you discard a card from your hand and then search your deck for 2 energy and put them into your hand, as long as they're fire. So Fire Energy really is the way to go, largely because of those 2 cards. Means you can also use Fire Crystal, and if you so wish, you can also use Heat Factory Prism Star to get yourself a little bit of draw power, but really it's here for Welder and Giant Half. That's what it really does. So one of the ones we've seen most this weekend is actually Latios GX. And Latios GX, now this is one of the new ones that's only just come around in Unified Minds, and basically it's got an attack for a Psychic and 2 Colorless Energy that does 120 damage, and then it's immune to Tag Team Pokemon. Well, it stops all damage, it doesn't stop any other effects. Now, you can use this on Latios because it is a basic, but Latios has the ability that it can only attack if you've got 5 or 6 Pokemon in play. This is incidentally why you play Psychic Energy with Mewtwo and Mew, not Mewtwo and Mew itself. And with the amount of Tag Team Pokemon we're seeing around this weekend, especially Pikachu and Zekrom and Reshiram and Charizard, this can just lock decks out of the game, or force them into using their subpar attackers, the weaker attackers, that cannot one-hit KO Mewtwo and Mew. When your opponent starts attacking with something like a Zapdos, they're probably not going to take out Mewtwo and Mew very quickly. If you want a really big attack, we've also seen the new Dragonite GX from Unified Mind seeing a bit of love in this deck as well. Now this is a stage 2, so it is purely just there to be copied. 5 Colorless Energy, 270 discard free. Awkward to do turn after turn after turn because it costs so much energy and you have to discard them. But 270 damage gets a one-hit KO on the vast majority of Tag Team GXs Taking a big one-hit KO for free prizes, that sounds good to me, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds useful. Now, we have seen Cobalion see play, and it is a GX, and you can copy the attacks, but really it's there for the ability. Cobalion's ability says that any Pokemon with Metal Energy attached cannot be affected by special conditions. Now, with Raichu and a Alolan Raichu running around and seeing a lot of play this weekend, yeah, they paralyze you. That's not ideal. Cobalion stops them. Now, of course, you're not playing any Metal Energy here. What you're doing is playing Rainbow Energy. Rainbow Energy means that you can use a slightly wider range of attacks than you otherwise would be able to. And while you're playing Rainbow Energy, it can be metal. And while it can be metal, Cobalion says thank you. You can also do 110 for 2 energy, but no. Interestingly enough, the GX attack here for 1 colorless energy stops your opponent attacking next turn. But it's not one of the better GX attacks in this deck. Incidentally, Latios also has a GX attack that stops your opponent using GX attacks. Seen that used a couple of times because honestly, sometimes you're just really worried about their GX attack. Let's say for argument's sake you're against Reshiram and Charizard. Well, if you keep using Latios' attack, they're going to want to use Double Blaze to attack through that. But if you use Latios' GX attack and then start using Latios' normal attack, the only thing that would be able to get through it, Double Blaze, can't, because they can't use their GX attack. Now, one of the coolest ones as far as I'm concerned that we've seen this weekend, and it's not been in all of the decks, Greninja. Specifically, the one that came around in Forbidden Light and has Haze Slash. Water, double colorless, so you really will need to use a Rainbow Energy here. 110 damage. You can shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. Now, this is just really Welder and Rainbow Energy, so it's not too difficult. You do lose the energy, or I suppose to put it a better way, you have used a Welder, but you no longer have the energy on the field. But it's basically used for healing. If your Mewtwo Mew is about to be KO'd and give up free prizes, shuffle it into the deck, take those free prizes away from your opponent. It's not been in all the decks, but it's one I love very much. Now, I have said that we generally tend to play a few basic Psychic Energy. Partly it's for Latios, but it also opens the door to another of the new ones from Unified Minds. Yeah, there's a bunch in here. Naganadel GX. Naganadel GX, for 1 Psychic, 3 colorless energy, discard 2 energy, do 170 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Great for hitting Pokemon on the bench which are going to threaten you in the future, but absolutely amazing against a Dedenne GX. It's got 160 HP. It's been a lot of decks this weekend. It gives up 2 prizes. Seems like exactly the kind of thing that you'd want to play Naganadel to try and take out. Now, as you're playing Fire Energy anyway, you might as well play Reshiram and Charizard. 4 energy, 230, and you don't lose the energy when you attack, and that's crucial here. Something like Dragonite, you lose the energy. This, you don't. Now, you're only doing 230, only, and you can't use Flare Strike next turn, but the great news is that Mewtwo and Mew has got a million other attacks that they can use, so you don't really care. You do have the GX attack that does 200, and if you've got 6 energy on, all must be fire, you can do 300 and go through any effects on the defending Pokemon. Not the GX attack you're going to use all that much, but it is an option. But really here, it's a way of doing big damage without discarding energy. Though don't sleep on Outrage, 30 plus 10 more for each damage counter on you. It's a decent 2 energy attack that people are going to use. Speaking of Psychic Energy, we've got Deoxys and Espeon GX. Now this one, again, another one from Unified Minds. This one is absolutely huge sometimes. This is a kind of one where in a whole bunch of games you won't even use it, and then it becomes amazing. Now, the main attack here does 10 damage for free energy, plus 30 more for each of your bent Psychic Pokemon. Rarely going to be amazing. But the GX attack allows you to drop 10 damage counters on your Pokemon in any way that you like. We saw reigning world champion Robin Schultz win a game on stream this weekend by knocking out 2 Pidgey using this attack, such that his opponent couldn't evolve into a Pidgeotto. In the next game, but still in the same series, Robin got 6 energy on there, which allowed him to drop 20 damage counters and actually KO'd 3 Pidgeotto, taking away his opponent's drawing options for the game from which he couldn't come back. There are some matchups where this can take out multiple bench Pokemon with a GX attack and literally win you the game. And with some people play Macargo, you'll notice that there is a huge theme here. Colourless, fire, or attacks that use 1 psychic. Because Naganadel only uses 1 psychic. Espeon and Deoxys only uses 1 psychic. Latios only uses 1 psychic. You are rolling with largely fire energy here, and that's where Macargo comes in. 2 fire, 1 colourless energy, 50 damage, and you can discard as many basic energy from this Pokemon as you like. Does not need to all be fire. Do 50 more for each one discarded. Really nice for an emergency I will smash attack. It's not bad. Seen some play, seen some use. Don't sleep on the GX attack though. 1 fire energy, discard the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck. If it's getting late in the game and you haven't used a GX attack, this can literally deck your opponent out and win you the game there and then. And the last one which I want to mention in this video, Solgaleo GX. Now there are 2 Solgaleo GX, I am referring specifically to the newer one, that for 2 colourless energy does 120 damage, and then lets you attach 2 energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. If you're playing against a deck which is trying to get rid of your energy, this can be a pretty good way to go about stopping them. This is a fun deck. It's an awkward deck, there's a lot of choices, you've got to be extremely careful. But you can play a lot of different Pokemon. Not all of the decks play all of these. We've seen it played by Drew Kennett, we've seen it played by Robin Schultz, we've seen it played by Burt Walters, and I'm sure they all had slightly different lists. But I know that this is a deck which is garnering quite a lot of discussion this weekend, and I thought I'd show you all about it. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to know what you think and what GXs you think are pretty good with this. So let me know in the comment section, go nuts, be nice, and then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.